You're diagonal.
What's diagonal?
You're holding the camera diagonal. I can see that you are.
Why does that matter? I like things diagonal.
Onefootflipper.
Hi there, Paige here, the 1 Foot Flipper, although you might want to call me Brittany because, oops, I did it again. I have filled my store up with long tail and mediocre items, and it's totally my fault. What I do every single time is I go and I source too much, I get too much stuff. Of course, I list the best stuff first, and then everything's too jammed up and I can't source anymore. And the best stuff gets listed, and the other stuff gets pushed to the back, and I've done it to myself again. And completely my fault. And honestly, I've been using my wheelchair as a crutch. Yes, my wheelchair is a crutch, as to why I can't source well. And I've been trying to concentrate on maximizing what I do get, instead of both trying to source well and maximize well-sourced items at the same time. Why can't I do both? So I was watching ADH Dave for a few minutes live selling earlier this week, and he blames me, by the way, for switching entirely to live selling. And he sold more in 10 minutes than I had in the last 3 days combined on my main eBay account. In fact, I keep having days where my card account outsells my main account. I had a day earlier this week where my 5 whole shares of Apple stock made more gains than my eBay account had sales. Although a lot of that's due to the fact that I spent a month shoveling in low sell-through rate hats, and then spent 2 weeks just ignoring my eBay account other than shipping while I experimented with live selling. So ultimately, once again, my fault. However, I did learn enough about hats from buying about 750 of them that I now know what to buy for eBay as singles, which hats are good enough to pick up the bins, at least for the hat lots, and what hats I should just throw back into the bins entirely and let them go wherever the bins reject items go. So I'm continuing to cross-list my hats and some other items with Crosslist.com software. If you want to try that out, I have a coupon code and a link down below. It'll get you 30% off your first payment with them, and I'll get a tiny kickback myself, which is helpful because my channel is currently demonetized, and it'll be several months before I can get YouTube to start paying me again, which is a little bit of hit on our income, especially since I spent most of my money that comes from YouTube, I spent either funneling it back into YouTube-related things, or I would spend it on my daughter to get her weeks of summer camp and whatever in the middle of the summer, and now I don't have that money coming in. And you know what else? In the last week, I keep finding myself drawn into watching political videos on YouTube, when ultimately, that's a topic I've opted not to wrap myself up in, as I think my family is better served by me just working harder than me studying the minutia of what all the politicians are trying to do or trying to stop, especially when I can't really do much anything about it in the end other than vote. Or I'm not willing to put in the effort to do anything more than vote. How's that? Maybe if I was 19 years old, maybe I'd go be in a march or something, one way or the other. Probably not, because I've never been that into any one issue that I would march for it. Alright, but ultimately, I've got a plan in place that I think is going to work out for me. Because keeping my card account at a fixed number of listings, 10,900, and making sure all the new listings on it were of a higher quality than the median, has worked out incredibly for that account. It keeps ticking up just a little bit every month. Every month is about 10% over the previous month, and about 4x what it used to be before I did that. So I'm now doing the same basic thing for my main account. Keep a static number of listings, I believe it's 1,600. Drop in new listings from drafts every day to get back to 1,600 listings. And once I burn through my death pile and if I have 100 drafts in reserve, then I'm only going to source items that sell for more than my median listed price. And that only changes if I drop below 100 drafts. Then I'll lower my minimum sell price a little bit cheaper. Over time, this should drag my ASP way up. And I think that's also gives me a good excuse not to pick up bad things. It's a much better solution than the ever-increasing store size spiraling out of control while it all goes stale that most resellers tend to do, and I have to actively work against in my own life. Oh, I've had some people recently in the comments, and they want to know more about my investments. I'm not really doing anything big. I'm only doing retirement accounts. My wife's 401k is extremely heavy into the Vanguard Total Stock Market Index Fund, the Admiralty shares. That fund just buys basically everything in the stock market. It doesn't really make any decisions, so it has very low fees. And 80% of everything forward in her 401k is going into that fund because we've still got like a 15 plus year timeline on her before she'd ever make her first withdrawal, and that's if she's doing it at minimum age. So I'm not too worried. The market's going to go up and down many times in that 15 years. The rest of what she's got is a mix of bond funds, emerging market, and mid-cap funds. Now, my wife's IRA is just the one attached to her U.S. bank account. They have something called the Automated Advisory IRA, and it's making all the decisions for her. It's been doing just fine on return, so I don't see any reason to mess with it. Plus, I think it's the only option if I just want to directly go right into her bank account and not have it go to another website, which I could. But I kind of like having it in one place. Now, my personal IRA is the only one that's buying any individual stocks. And I'm buying them, not selling them. Not trying to wait till something goes up and sell it and buy something else. I plan on holding everything I buy until I specifically want to withdraw money in retirement. So far, I've purchased Apple, Amazon, Callaway Golf, Wendy's, Lockheed Martin, and Ford Motor Company. I probably won't buy any eBay stock, as buying any significant amount of it would be the opposite of diversifying, since my daily business is already dependent on eBay. And if you want to know why I picked those particular ones, Apple and Amazon just because they're huge. While Callaway, Wendy's, Lockheed Martin, and Ford were relatively long, stable brands who were at lower prices in their cycles. And most of those also pay dividends. And that's it. Because I plan on holding all these very long term, so my actual buy-in price right now is not that important because most of these should go up significantly over time. Now, I'm not a financial planner or an advisor. Strangely enough, the JTF is, though. You know, Jimmy the Dolphin Flipper, he is. But I do know that you can put $7,000 or $8,000 per year into an IRA. Depends on your age. If you're under 50, it's 7. If you're over 50, it's 8. If you're watching this in the future, those numbers might be different. And that money is a direct deduction on your income tax. And if you and your spouse both do it, then you're talking about a $14,000 deduction. That could be anywhere from chump change, you know, if you're Kevin or Dave with your mid 6-digit salaries, that's nothing. But if you're one of the, you know, you're more not quite Kevin or Dave level resellers and you've got 6 kids, that $14,000 deduction could be the difference between you paying taxes and you not paying taxes at all. So, something to look into. Hey, thanks for holding on all the way to the end. There were no sales in this video because all my sales are on the GoPro, which is currently sitting in the stock room. I'm actually filming this on my webcam. I was just too lazy to go up and down the steps on my butt just to get the GoPro. So I didn't.
See, that's One Foot Flipper's nonsense video.
So, now that it's just us, have you ever wondered why sometimes, like, you'll see a comedian, they'll do a comedy special, an hour-long comedy special, Netflix, HBO, or whatever, and then they'll never do one again. Do you know why that is? I can tell you why. Because once you've done that special, you lit your entire routine on fire, and you can never do any of those jokes again. Then you have to come up with an entirely new routine, and that's why you see so many people only do one special.